It is the Anfield Wrap in association with The Athletic. We've been partnering with them all year. Whilst everything's going on, we might have a little chat about Manchester City at some point during this show. But there's lots of fantastic stuff on The Athletic from a number of different perspectives that you can read. It is theathletic.co.uk/the Anfield Wrap to take advantage of reductions and all of that sort of stuff. But we're here to talk primarily about Liverpool's 1-0 victory at Carrow Road. Joining me are Siobhan Biggane, Stephen Evans and Paddy Fitzsimmons. Siobhan is due on Thursday, which gives this episode of the Anfield Wrap a certain fraught sense of danger.
Keep it calm, that would be lovely.
Yeah, I like
I'm enjoying the 3 days off that I've got planned this week.
I'm just banging into the idea that you never know. I mean, absolutely love to see Steve Evo perform an emergency birth procedure. Fuad upstairs getting towels and hot water.
I think I'll probably just get off, you know.
Yeah. All going up.
For your benefit rather than mine.
It would all be going off, but yes, it will be terrific when it happens, but it won't happen right now, and we'll move forward and talk about Liverpool's win at Norwich, Siobhan. And I think the first thing to take from it is just, firstly, we need to remember, and I think this is massive, we're Norwich's biggest game from now to the end of the season. You think they're probably going to go down, and the 5:30 Saturday, the weather, the way in which it was, it's a cup final for Norwich, but it's a cup final for Liverpool as well. That's what this team's done brilliantly. They are living the value of 38 cup finals, and they just know eventually they're going to score a goal and they're going to win the game, and it's so impressive.
It is. The most impressive thing is that there's just absolutely no panic whatsoever. I think the biggest takeaway is they won, and that's that. That's all that matters in the end. But when you reflect on it and when you get over, what was quite frustrating maybe in the moment, you just reflect on how calm and how collected and how the people weren't doing stupid things to try and force a goal, which you would have maybe wanted them to do almost in a way. You just like just do something, but they just kept it calm, kept it cool. Not to get too heavy into weather chat, but I can't imagine that helped. And I don't like talk about mentality too much because I do think that we've probably all spoke about it enough maybe, but it definitely came through loud and clear yesterday, that strong mentality being the overriding kind of impressiveness.
The patience is, I think, massive, Steve. It's, maybe it helps. Obviously, the league picture helps. They've got so much shared experience, but you're still playing a game of football. The weather's still up, the crowd's still up, they're still running at you, they're still doing what they're doing. And Liverpool just back themselves. And there's points in the second half where the line from Gomez and Van Dijk is the edge of the centre circle in their half. And that's how but Liverpool, even then, we still don't force it, we still wait, and we still get our goal.
I think it's one thing that's changed this season more than previous season. I think is our patience just to keep doing what we're doing. In the past, sometimes we kind of lose that and try something that maybe tries to force the play a little bit, and then we lose control of the game, lose control of the football. But but the way we just keep prodding and probing and just complete faith in what you're doing, that eventually will bring about results. And this team has done that yesterday and done it all season, and that's why we're sitting where we are at the top of the league.
It's one where, again, I've seen Liverpool sides in the past, Paddy. Something like the Keita chance would become the Keita chance, not far off that. Then Salah has a decent opportunity around sort of 5-6 minutes later. It would have been, what are we going to do? Or oh no, it's not going to come, and that's just does not happen with this side at any stage. For me, it's a remarkable thing. They just never ever go, oh well, it's all going to be it's going to be. They never accept it's one of those days. It's never one of those days. It's always Liverpool's day.
Yeah, it's always Liverpool's day, and it's Liverpool's day because of the belief the players have in what they're doing. I think listening to the commentary, Carragher was making a lot early on and through the game about the way Liverpool were playing and how it didn't adapt to the conditions, and Liverpool persisted in playing a long ball over the top, as we tend to in a lot of games. And I think despite the weather, Liverpool seemed to back themselves and thought, no, this is our way of doing things and this is what works for us. And despite the weather or how deep the airline is, we're still going to do it, and ultimately it pays off because that's where our goal comes from. It's persistence in what we're doing, and it's a great ball from Henderson, and then we can talk about the Mane finish later, but it's absolutely brilliant. And that's the thing with this Liverpool team now. There's no matter what happens in the game, like you referenced the Keita chance, there's never a thing of, oh, let's slump into it, it's going to be one of them days, and it's not our day for us. It's no matter, and a draw would have been fine yesterday, a defeat would have been fine yesterday if you look at the maths, but this Liverpool team will not accept that at all. And even though it would have been fine mathematically, and we're still going to go on and win the league, whatever would happen yesterday, it was almost like they didn't even want to give Norwich that satisfaction of getting a big one over us, and it being Saturday night and the whole country watching, and the way the media is and social media and things like that. This Liverpool team just ignores it and then just goes. It's like they're programmed in their own heads that we're going to win every game now. no matter what competition it's going to be in, we're going to win all our games now because that's what we do.
It's one, I'll go back to it, Paddy, where you say in the first half, for instance, they are just trying to get in behind. But one of the things that they do when they do that, and it's funny because it looks a little ugly at times, and I can understand how, for instance, if you're doing punditry during the game, you might say, it's another one that's gone to touch. But what it does is it puts doubt in their minds, and they're thinking we've got to drop another couple of yards here, because if they get it right, then someone like Salah's in. If they get it right, Oxlade-Chamberlain's in, or then Mane's in. If they get it right, and all of a sudden, I think that just impacts games so much, because if you're not scared of Mohamed Salah, you've not been paying attention.
Yeah, I mean, the ball that they were trying a lot first half, it's a ball that we played a lot this season. I reference something like the Chamberlain goal away to Bournemouth, where Henderson gets his head up from deep in his own half and plays that ball right over the top, and Chamberlain scores. And I think we've mastered this way of breaking teams down when they sit deep, but also, I mean, when Carragher was referencing in the first half, I understand why and things, but I almost thought it was a bit of both. It was Liverpool backing themselves and saying this is our way of playing, but it was almost like Liverpool recognised the conditions and thought these aren't great in defence. If we keep playing this ball over the top, panic is going to set in, because as much as it's hard for us to maybe control things and control the movement of the ball, we've got better players. So I'd back Roberto Firmino to bring down a ball that's getting travelled in the wind, and Grant Hanley, for example, and there was that chance first after. I mean, Firmino does brilliantly and brings it down, but there is an argument that with a better defence and better conditions, one of their lads should just get their head on that and get it away from the box. He shouldn't be able to bring that down, turn and make contact with the ball. It ultimately gets blocked, but I almost think it was clever from Liverpool to go, we'll just use this to our strength. We can't do anything about these conditions. We'll play to them. We'll keep playing our game. And we'll get a chance from it. There's
been a couple of games recently. Burnley at home towards the back end of last season. Watford at home in December, where at Anfield you've seen the wind play a major part today. And one of the things you saw from that was Liverpool would say, as Paddy's just said, well, we'll back the fact that we've got the better footballers. We'll make it chaotic. We'll make it difficult to know where the ball's going to be. You know what's going to happen? Our lads will win it, or they'll get it under, or they'll do. And it's interesting, as I say, because I can understand that, you want to see Saturday night, you want to see beautiful football, through balls, lads getting on. It's some of what Naby Keita brings in general, it's fair to say, throughout the game. But what actually does work a lot of the time is, and it shouldn't be, these are not ALO's footballers, but it's really interesting that actually Liverpool are better equipped for those conditions than the sides who are at the bottom of the table, like Watford, like Burnley, like Norwich, because this front three, all of a fight, and they've got brilliant technique.
Very much, you got to remember when the conditions are as bad as they are, that both teams have got to play in it. It's got no battle last for them, with balls coming over the top of them, thinking, is that going to carry? Is it not going to carry? Also, you get the second balls as well, which I think was something we are very good at picking up the second ball when it's a mistake from one of their defenders, or he just manages to get a toe on it. The second balls is always good from that. Like, there's always a press from one of our midfield three. It's just the pressure. As long as you keep that pressure on, you keep. Eventually, there will be a chance that comes your way and a mistake made. I said if the elements play a part in that, then that's down to luck, down to whatever. But it's as I said, both teams have got to manage and cope with them wins and the weather conditions in their own way.
As the game wears on, Siobhan, as we get into that second half period, the other thing that Liverpool do when the wind's actually then in their face is, and again you think it should be the other way around, suddenly they've got the wind to their backs, Liverpool should be dropping off, and instead they're so brave second half, that line goes right the way up, the full-backs are almost playing in like wingers, Liverpool
like bulldozers, weren't
they? Well, across the whole team it's like bulldozers. We're going to play this game where we want.
Yeah, I thought that particularly you saw the change in, I think it was probably Henderson in the most part for the first part of the second half. He was just so determined to be the kind of ball carrier, but in general across the board they were just also much more determined, because I suppose physically the conditions kind of demanded that of them, didn't they? But as Steve said, both teams have got to play in it. It's absolutely not a battle of laughs, but then you see the goal and you're like, that's completely condition defying. So how's he possibly managed to make the physical mechanics of that work when it's pouring down with rain and the wind is God knows what? The determination to not be bothered by the winds was massive there.
I think another big asset to this side is that, I mean, I've listened to shows in the past years gone by when things haven't been going so great, and people spoke about, we don't know what a Liverpool goal looks like. And when we're attacking sides, we're not breaking them down because we don't have a way of scoring. I think, to this team's credit, I couldn't tell you what a Liverpool goal essentially looks like in this team, because they can score all kinds of goal. doesn't matter what the conditions, like Neil mentioned before about with it being Saturday night, pundits and people watching might think, oh, we want to see some nice pretty football and that. This Liverpool side could do that if they wanted to, but they're brave enough and they know enough about themselves and enough about the teams they're playing, so where they decided, listen, there's 10 or more sides in this league where they're going to go out set on defending a pretty Liverpool goal, where we pass it round and we try and stretch them, and Liverpool can go, all right, well, today we'll try this ball over the top, today we'll do this and that.
And the punditry makes it seem so reductive.
Yeah.
When you listen to it, it's like, oh, another long ball goes astray, like you said before, you know, like they know full well what they're coming up against if they try and do something more intricate, particularly with a team like Norwich and particularly in those conditions, you know. It's so much more intelligent to do something that's probably a bit more foolproof in that sense.
It was almost like, Steve, when you actually froze that second half, Norwich had the two centre halves, and then they almost had a line of 6 going across the pitch. The two full-backs, Cantwell dropping in on one side, especially to support Lewis as Trent pushes on more and more. Then the holding midfielders, the lad who's theoretically meant to play number 10's dropped right the way back there as well. The other full-back, and it's just this line of that's what they were, and Liverpool break that line. I mean, there's a couple of brilliant moments from Naby Keita through the game, but it is, well, we're gonna find the tool eventually. There's the brilliant Damien Cavani line that Liverpool are like a Swiss Army knife. There's something in here somewhere that will do the job, and that's what you get to see. I think
so. You referenced Naby Keita there. I thought he brings something completely different from any other midfielders. Really, the fact that he can move forward the ball. He looks, his first idea in his head when he gets the ball is to carry it forward 5 or 10 yards, whereas other midfielders that we have in there will usually just to get it and just to keep recycling the ball, pass it along. But Naby does something a bit different. Naby does something different thing for us in there, and he was there. He never quite come off for him a few times yesterday. There was a couple of like final balls. I thought that was could have been a little bit better, but by and large, I thought he was excellent all the game, and he definitely would give us that something a bit different that haven't had in the past to sort of break that down. But Norwich, as you say, we're just all camped on the edge of the box in the second half, and it was just a barrage really. The possession stats must have been ridiculous second half. I can't remember what they were, but the one or two times he did manage to get out, which is kind of what we wanted to see really for us, because that's obviously with the leaving spaces behind them to try and counter attack for us. But by and large, it was really tough for us to break them down, but just managed to do so.
I think to Liverpool's credit as well, I think not that it was an intimidating atmosphere like per se, but it was definitely a good atmosphere, and they were up for it. And it's the biggest game they've left, as we've mentioned before. And I think we spoke about patience before, and to Liverpool's credit, despite them having 11 men behind the ball constantly every time we attacked and like tough lines to break through, it never ever frustrated Liverpool, and it never got the better of them. And you talk about things like the Naby Keita chance. All these things are things that could play into Norwich's hands, in the sense that as soon as he saved that one, I thought, that's gonna get their crowd up even more, and it's going to give them another excuse to be loud and get in their own heads. That right, we're the side that's getting the shutout. Their supporters are going to think, right, we can do this now. That's the best chance they're going to get all day. We're going to be the side that gets a draw off them. And Liverpool just ignored all that and just thought, we're just going to keep playing, we'll break your lines at some point, and then we'll eventually score the goal.
The defining moment of the first half, for all of the talk of Liverpool's excellence, is the goalkeeper. They get in. Now, I still reckon, almost ruins it in a sense. I reckon that if that went back to VAR, they would find the lad just offside.
I know.
But Alisson doesn't know that, as he slaps the ball contemptuously into the path of one of his own players.
Between 4 legs, he just manages to just get a casual little cat hand to it and not look one bit bothered. I was saying at the time, and when you watch it back, it was probably a little bit more routine than I was giving him. Not routine, but routine for him than you're giving him credit for. But I was just turning to my fella going, well, that's the best thing I've ever seen. It's just the best thing I've ever seen. And it's helpful that it's from him, and he's him. But
I think it all is part of all of it is the look.
It's the windswept, and he's just
beautiful human being,
head to foot in black. He's honestly, Siobhan, how could anyone ever score a goal past him? It looks impossible.
It's like he's some sort of superhero nemesis, and about midway through the first half, someone's put a call in to say, we're going to need you to come here, and he's just gravitated in and then just gone whoosh, with his hands and with his right hand, and the angle you see it from on the telly, at no point you're kind of halfway between resigned that it's going to be a goal and knowing full well that it's going to be fine, so you're not really not bothered, but you're not worried, you're not panicked either way. And then he just casually just extends his little arm and just goes, not his little arm but his big arm, and just knocks it out the way as if that's just what he does.
He's
blown over.
He's an absolute phenomenon for me. I think he's he's the best I've seen play for us. I think he needs to, if he maintains this for the next 2-3 seasons, then you're talking about the best ever, probably in the Premier League. He makes so many hard things look simple, which is his movement over like 3 or 4 yards. His feet are so quick. His positional play is unbelievable. I mean, I played a keeper, county level when I was younger and stuff, and I quite a lot of keeper coaching and stuff. And whoever, he must be a dream to work with him, because he just makes everything look so good and so easy. Good with both feet. He just like having a third centre half in between Gomez and Van Dijk at times, and just as an important sign as we've ever made as Van Dijk and all that. I think he's just as important as anyone.
It's the save's just incredible, Paddy. In that moment, it's the sort of thing that everyone who's watching that. This is back to the fact that it's Saturday afternoon. There's not been many games. It's Saturday night. It's 5:30. It's going to be the thing on Match of the Day, etc., etc. It's just breathtaking what he does. It's the equivalent of someone banging it in from 35 yards or going around 5 and netting. Yeah,
no, it's absolutely unbelievable. And I think part of it, and it's to his credit as well, is that I think he's in the lad's head. As soon as the lad knows he's in and sees Alisson, he's in his head and he thinks, I've got to do something other than shoot here. But also, like, for a couple of weeks now, I think it was something my brother mentioned to me about, I don't know if anyone else thinks there's something in the tights. You mentioned before, he's this big, like, wall of black. But I don't know if it's, Klopp's very big on little small margins and fine margins and things. And, like, for a while now, he's wore them black tights underneath his shorts. And I wonder if it's something to do with, do you remember when Klopp first came in, he changed the nets from red to white and said, this is mad that they've got red nets, because if a player's shooting and the crowd were all wearing red behind, how is he supposed to see little things like that? And like white is there to stand out. And I wonder if it's little things like, are they making him wear tights that matches kit so that players can't get the slightest angle? Do you know what I mean? Naturally, as an attacker going forward, in a tight space like that where you've brought it down, the keeper's run out, you might look to put it through his legs or put it to the side of him. If all you see is this wall,
yeah,
where are you going to put it? And I think part of it's why it makes the lad's decision for him to pass it to the lad, or whether he take it round him or whatever. And I think, but it's all to Alisson just being absolutely brilliant. So I think he thinks as soon as that lad brings it down, I don't think he's going to shoot here. So he anticipates, he gets his body in the right position as well. And I think I always thought, you look at Brazil, Ronaldo, and there's always that mad stat about how many goals he scores taking around the goalkeeper, and that is a skill as a centre forward. That's brilliant to do that. But it's a skill to master, because goalkeepers sort of can't do anything about it. Not everyone's got that ability to take a ball around the goalkeeper and slot it, but once you master it, it's an art, because keepers can't do much about it. And then he comes along, and I've never seen anyone stop so many chances like that. There's the Lingard one last season where you think, oh, it's going to be a goal, and it takes it around them, because keepers are helpless in that situation. They're there to the last line of defence, and if the lad just runs around them with the ball, what can you do? And then it's an open goal. But somehow he just manages to claw these things back and stop them from going in, and he's unbelievable.
I think you look at it the way it plays out, it's almost like the lad's running through, and he looks at who it is, and it is like he almost goes, well, where's my boss finisher? Yeah. Because I need to Pookie, he's good at scoring. Where's Pookie? And it's almost like he's almost crying out, going, can Pookie do this instead of me? And that's mad, because this is a professional footballer who's, I'm sure, in training, growing up, he'll have been the best player in his school, the best player in his county, the best, whatever country he's come from, he'll have been the best player. Yeah. And all of a sudden there, he's like, don't feel like the best player anymore. There's got to be another one.
Have you seen him?
Yeah, there's got to be another one where, and he's almost like crying out, where is Pookie? Can Pookie just do this for me?
It must be mad. Like a keeper must be in that good that they're in someone's head before they've even, like, sort of, as they're going through, going, it's Alisson, I'm not going to score here. I mean, Schmeichel had that. I think he's probably the only one I can say he had that sort of imposing fear of when he's running towards attackers. He used to make himself so big, and he used to wear all these massive bright clothes, Schmeichel, to try and anything to get inside the striker's head, and he did. And I think Alisson's at them levels now. It's he was out, as I said before, his movement of his feet, his pace over 5 yards is that good. He gets himself right in front of the attackers so quickly that he doesn't have time to think, and he goes, oh shit, and he just lays it off to his left, and all of a sudden the chance is gone. And he's so agile, so quick. He's fantastic.
Moving on, Liverpool get in at half time. They change it, Paddy. He brings Keita to the other side, moves Wijnaldum into the middle of the park, and moves Henderson out to the right. And it's in part, I think, because he knows what he's going to do on the hour mark with Fabinho. He's almost getting them ready for the thing that's going to come next. And he also knows he's going to bring Mane on, I suspect. But it's really interesting to me, because you spend a couple of minutes just wondering, is this just the way the play's broken, they've ended up over there? But no, he changed it completely, changed the complete shape of that midfield.
Yeah, I think I'm glad you picked up on it as well, because I think with them substitutes, again, it was made out as if it was Liverpool in panic stations and bringing on 2 substitutions at once. But I think, especially with the game on Tuesday, I think they were pre-planned them. I think if it would have been 3-0 up at half time, I think Fabinho and Mane would have come on with 25, 20 to go, whenever it was. And I think you're right. In preparation for that, I think you might have looked at the first half and thought, when we break or when we turn the play over quickly, there's a lot of space. And Henderson was seeing a lot of the ball first half, and I think he might have thought to himself, I'm anticipating these substitutions that I'm going to make, but I also want him further up the pitch in more dangerous areas. And I think that's what he's done. And I think there was a couple of moments where we worked it well, especially in them areas where it's a fullback and one of the wide midfielders, whether it be Keita and Robertson second half, or Henderson and Trent and Salah, where you work it well and you get into the box. And the only thing that let us down up until the goal and was the decisions in the final third at the last minute. But I think he's had a look at that and thought, if I switch Keita to one side, get Henderson ready on that side, we can have a lot more chances.
It's one where Siobhan, again, it shows the thought in all of this, and he says afterwards, after the game, that they're coming back from injury, the two of them. He doesn't necessarily want them to have two big games in a week. He trusts the players around him. All of that said, I think the change in midfield at half time and then the introduction of Mane do just add Liverpool's spring. Mane comes on the pitch and it's like his stride's twice as long as everybody else's. He's just absolutely everywhere.
Exactly what you said there about his stride being right. He just seems to make up so much more ground than anyone else on the pitch, and that's not to say anyone else was doing particularly badly, because they weren't. As Paddy just said, it was that final third, that kind of like last ball that was what was going wrong, not the one that came before it. But and I thought Fabinho, while he it's great that he's come on and all that, I thought he was maybe a little bit too cautious when he was first on the pitch. More kind of passing it sideways, passing it backwards. But then as he grew into the game, he was more kind of brave coming forward. But Mane was just something else. He just knew the pace was changed straight away. When he came on, I just turned around and went, playing a bit now, aren't we? Playing a bit now. Because it just seemed that it was so much more purposeful.
I think I like Oxlade-Chamberlain, and I think we've got to be careful at times, not to overstate one thing. But Mane's a forward and Oxlade-Chamberlain's a midfielder playing there, and I think that's one of the things that you just see is the difference.
I think so. I mean, Oxlade-Chamberlain has always made it kind of publicly known that he wants to play midfield. He doesn't particularly like playing out on them front. And he'll always do the job. Whatever he's told by the manager, when he gets a shirt, he's always going to try his hardest. But you can see that the balance isn't quite the same with Oxlade-Chamberlain there for me. When you got Salah one side and Mane on the other side, it stretches the pitch a lot more, makes it a lot bigger, gives us a little bit more space to exploit. But I think he did okay, Oxlade-Chamberlain, but his numbers are good goals wise and stuff like that. But he definitely prefers being further back. And obviously, you saw that when the change made yesterday, he just complete the balance to that side. But he brings the best out in Robertson for me as well. Mane, when he comes on, Robertson looked so dangerous second half. I thought he had an excellent game. But obviously, when Mane comes on, when a player of his calibre comes off the bench, you're going to improve your chances of winning the game. And obviously, he was the winner at the end. Them two are perfectly in sync, aren't they, Mane and Robertson? It's like
almost interchangeable. A portion of that second half.
Yeah, when you watch them together, or when you watch Robertson, for example, when Mane's not there, I think it takes it to very late in the first half before he gets a 1-2 off Chamberlain, and that's not knocking Chamberlain at all. No. I think it's a little back heel and he gets in and pulls it back, and Salah's going to get on it, but he block it. But I think them two know each other inside, even to the point where they know when one of them's going to go and one of them's going to stay. So there's times when we're breaking on them, and you think Robertson's going to overlap here, and you're waiting for it, and the Mane will hold on to it, and it's just a case of him playing their 1-2 with Firmino, and then the overlap comes, and it's if these things that they must work on in training to just know from each other's body movements or little signals and when they're going to play. And I think that's such a threat for us. And I think bringing Mane on in that type of game, it's because of how direct he is. It was perfect for him, because Norwich played well and they did sit back, but there was also times where there wasn't half a lot of space, and without knocking them, you can see why they are where they are on the table, because they will break on you, but they also will, and when they do that, they leave a lot of gaps. And I think it was a game like that where it was crying out for Mane to just get the ball, carry it, wait for the overlap of Robertson, or just keep going into the box. And he's always an out ball as well. He can hold it up, as you've seen in the goal.
And it's a great goal.
Yeah, it's an
unbelievable strike.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And you think, I mean, the ball from Henderson's great, but if you just, I don't know, do a freeze frame or a still frame with that as it's coming over and said, like, how does he score this goal? Like, you wouldn't have any idea how he does it. And it's so much skill. It's the awareness of what's around him. So the only way he can control that and get a shot off is if he goes that side. But bear in mind, that side is weaker foot. I mean, there's an argument he hasn't really got a weaker foot, but that's still going to play on your mind, that I've got to get a shot off here and be weaker foot. But again, he backs himself to the point where he goes, well, I'll just take it that side and get the shot off. It's the touch as well. It's not just the knowledge to know, listen, I've got to go that side. It's actually bring it down with players around him. none of their lads read the touch. There was, when VAR looked at it and we're looking for that foul, it was never a foul, and the lad's just off balance, and he's off balance one because he's watching a travelling ball coming over, and he's just got caught underneath it, and also he's trying to keep up with Mane's movements as that ball's coming over. He's got to keep an eye on the ball, but as well as the man, you can't be caught ball watching, I think. And then once he brings it down, the skill to know that lad's coming over the other side of him, goal side, and he's got to get the shot off so quick, and the power he generates on that in the half volley is just absolutely brilliant.
I think the lads was as confused as the rest of us
Yeah.
as to how it was getting scored.
Yeah.
It's one where the camera can't keep up with the strike. You know, that's one of the things I loved about Steve watching it back. The camera just can't keep up. It's you know, to watch it on television, and even when you're watching it in real time as it's unfolding on television, it's like, oh, it's in. It's because it's
I
just.
thought it had gone wide.
It did. It all happened so fast, didn't it? We tried that ball over the top numerous times, and there was maybe a little bit of frustration with keeping him, but it's an outrageous touch. But the amount of time he's got to adjust his body when he gets himself a little bit of space, but to bring it down, I'll admit, Paddy, I don't think it's enough for a foul on the Norwich lad. I know there was a couple of VAR check on it, but he's kind of slips his arm up his own arm, really. You know what I mean? There wasn't no force in the push. But to turn the touch and the turn for the shot fans. I mean, Firmino did something similar first half, which would have been just as outrageous. That it was such a lovely touch, and unfortunately got blocked off. But we've seen it before from Mane. These balls that come over his head in the touch, similar to Bayern Munich away. When that touch was never gets enough praise for me. How good that touch is for that goal either. So this was very similar for me.
It's one of them shots where how many times you've seen someone, I mean, might not have done as good as a touch that, but like hit the side net and everyone thinks it's in because it's an angle like that where it's that much of an impossible angle that
there was no way to it.
I'll just squeeze it in the corner like that, and you make a case that the keeper should have his near post covered, but the speed at which he hits and the power he generates, it's one of them things that, I mean, when it first went in, I just immediately thought someone might have gone in nestled the side net and that, and people think it, but how he's managed to squeeze it, and it's the thing as well about we've got tons and tons of great footballers that play for us, every 11 on the pitch of brilliance, whoever that may be, but you sort of think sometimes when he does something like that, he's the only one on the pitch. You could have done that. Expect with the ball, I mean, I know Firmino has a similar one, but that's going straight direct towards the goal, and to spin like that in his movements and then to score a goal like that with his weaker foot is one of them moments where you really do appreciate him, and it's easy to, with given how many good footballers we've got, for him to just get caught up in it, but he's the one for me out of the front here that stands out, and you go like, all great Liverpool sides that we've seen, especially in my lifetime, he's the one where you think like, 08-09, we were crying out for a Mane sometimes, you know, when the team just sat deep or whatever, just that out ball, like, yeah, Torres was great, and Torres had run the channels and that, but just a ball over the top with that sheer pace and quality as well, or even, I mean, 13-14, you could have done with a Mane, there was draws and that, and I just think, he's that good for us now that, I mean, you can't put a value on his way to the side.
Next one to have a chat about is you can't, and I'm struggling to sort of frame the sentence really, because Siobhan, you talked so much about Van Dijk, but yesterday becomes this absolute masterclass from Van Dijk and Gomez in terms of second half, the idea of we will just push this high. The reason why is because we know you can't beat us. We've almost decided you had your lucky one first half. That's not happening again. And I think it's just the sheer composure of it, and again, not dissimilar to Alisson, you get the impression now there's footballers running at him going, well, what's the point of me trying this? Because I'm coming up against this fella. There's
genuinely nothing else to add on it. I think, like, what more can you possibly say? I think there was one where was it in the first half where he
fell asleep a little bit.
Just a tiny bit, and everyone's just like, well, he's not going to do that twice, so the rest of the game's going to be absolutely fine. That the mentality of I'm in his head, so he's not going to even try and get past me, and when he does, watch what's going to happen when he tries. It's insurmountable, like, and the fact that Gomez is back to best and just as confident as Van Dijk is, if not more sometimes, with some of the things he gets off. There's nothing else to add. I couldn't say anything better.
There's not, Paddy, no one's scoring.
No.
And no one's even getting chances now.
That's the one of the chances, isn't it?
Yeah. I was going to say that I thought that Pukki shot in the second half was dead funny. Like, it doesn't get played in behind or anything, but just gets played from towards the side as he's running towards goal in a bit of space, and he's probably just outside the box, and he sees Van Dijk, who's say 1 or 2 yards behind him, just following his run, and he shoots straight away, and it goes straight to Alisson, and I think they said on commentary something like he just hasn't even thought about taking him on there. You know, you're not going to beat him for pace. You know, you're going to get round him.
That's what they're used to is doing that or nothing.
Yeah, it was like a kid playing against like an adult on like a yard or something. He thought, I've got to get a shot off it as soon as possible because I'm never going to get past him as well. I think on the point about like not conceding goals, I think think in the last 10 league games or something they've started together now since December, it's only one game they've conceded in, and obviously that was one goal, and it was Jimenez Wolves, and that's ridiculous. I think we haven't conceded in the league with them two playing after the Jimenez one with Charlison in that derby, and that feels like ages ago. And think of the games we've played since then, and then even the Club World Cup and things, and like that feels like a lifetime ago. And the fact that they haven't conceded goals, it's just such a weapon to have. Like I remember, I think with good defenders you change your mindset. I remember years ago thinking like, I think it was around the time we only had good attackers, and I used to think, I bought into this argument of like, if you score 90 to 100 goals in a league season, you'll be there or thereabouts, and like that's all we need. And I remember 13-14, it do me head in that like people would go on about the defence and say like, oh, that's why we've lost the league, and I'd be like, well, we've lost the league just because we haven't scored enough goals, because there was games you drew. But now when you have good defenders and world class ones, and arguably the best ever in Van Dijk, you appreciate it's such a threat and a weapon to have. The fact that you can go into a game and know you're not going to concede a goal, because even yesterday you knew one goal was going to be enough, because you knew they were never going to score. And I think it's another stat is it's something mad, like out of like 12 of the last 25 games, something like that, we've won by one goal or something, and it's that weapon that we know, well, if we score we'll win, because we're back these not to concede at all.
There's something in it still. You go back, you look at the list of games, last sort of 10, the 12, 14 games in the league. You maybe got Watford, where they have a couple of chances. Watford, to be fair, they managed to get a couple of opportunities. The game after Watford's Leicester in the league, where Leicester can barely get near our goal all the way through the match. Spool forward, there's the late chance, a couple of chances for Tottenham. You know, they're worth remembering. Wolves away, Wolves away do really, really well against us. And that's arguably the most stressed we've looked as a defensive unit as Wolves away. This is, you know, in that time we've played everyone. You know, you played Wolves, you played Tottenham, you played Man United. It's Wolves twice, it's Leicester, they're good. Sheffield United, you know, they're 5th, 6th. No one can get past these two.
No, they're just probably the best partnership in Europe at the moment, without a doubt. But all over the world, you know, it's great to see Gomez back as well. I don't think he gets enough credit. Well, he said he was from me, but I think you know, the fact that he's been outstanding since he's come back in has gone it's not unnoticed. But you know, Van Dijk always gets the lauded as the best in the world, but I don't think for Gomez is far behind. You know, they're just part of this fantastic football team. As Paul Senior on the post match show from yesterday, he said, you know, you've got 3 of the best forwards in the world, and you've got these 3 lads who are going to leg it everywhere in midfield. You've got the 2 best centre halves with the 2 best full backs, and then the best keeper in the world. I mean, we're beating teams before.
Sly, isn't it? Really,
we're just beating teams before we get on the pitch. It's similar to, like we said, Alisson before. You know, a striker's got the ball, he's running towards Van Dijk. He was already thinking, I've got no chance here. By the way, I'm just gonna. How can I get rid of it? Just lay it off. I had to give someone else responsibility.
But on your point as well, Neil, I think if you stretch it back even further, there was times at the start of last season where we were talking about these two together, just before Gomez gets injured, about them being, you can't get past them. And I think if you look at their record in total, I mean, it's ridiculous anyway, but there's so many goals that like you look back on and think like, but that wasn't even a real goal. Like if you look at Tottenham away last season at the start, they were 2-0 up and they score last kick of the game there to the off a corner, so you can rule that out. That doesn't even count as a proper goal in a real game. There's that mad one, I think it was Cardiff at home last season when we went 4-1 and their lad just nicks in, like you look at that and think, well, that's hardly like a proper goal that we conceded because we were comfortable in the game. And if them goals didn't happen, for example, it would be on the verge of ridiculous, even if you look at the record now, and it's absolutely phenomenal.
And they're of no consequence whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. Goals of no consequence, and you just, I'm Joel Matip's biggest fan. I can't rave enough about how well he did when he came in last season to when he went out to the side this year, unfortunately with injury. But I don't know whether it's a bond off the pitch that they've got, or just Joe Gomez being absolutely brilliant and maybe better than Joel Matip. But whatever they've got going is phenomenal, and you can't see where it stops, because they're never in any real danger. Even Wolves, which was a tough game and things, and they do score a really good goal, which teams are allowed to do. Teams are allowed to like set up a way of scoring a goal against us. There was never tons of chances in that. Tottenham away was a nervy game, and they had, call it half chances, but we were never in any real danger there. There's times when the attack and Van Dijk puts in that big slide tackle on the edge of the box, which he very rarely has to do, so people make a lot of that. But I mean, if people are making a lot about him having to make a slide tackle, it shows how good they are and how often.
It's the audacity that he had to actually do that.
So I think together,
to wash his kit that weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever they've got going, I mean, keep it going, because we're not conceding any goals. It's brilliant.
They've got challenges to come next, Siobhan. Obviously disposed of Norwich there. It's interesting, as I said, that the manager says he didn't want Mane and Fabinho to both play. Feels like they've got to play 2 games. I think I'd be absolutely amazed if Mane isn't starting against Atletico Madrid.
Oh God, yeah.
So we can all expect that. What do you think he's doing with reference to the midfield, because Keita's performance gives him, his go-to midfield being Fabinho, Wijnaldum, Henderson. Keita's performance is noteworthy, I think, and he likes to go to Keita. Oxlade-Chamberlain, to be fair, hasn't let him down. He's more of a midfielder there. There's going to be two sat on the bench, I think, against Atletico who will feel a bit hard done to, and I'm not quite sure who those two will be.
I think that, you've got to throw Everton at this Atletico game, haven't you? So if it was me, I'd probably be sticking with Keita, because the little moments of magic that he did yesterday in those conditions against Norwich are likely only going to be multiplied in the situation of an Atletico game. I'd probably be giving Ox a little rest now, Oxlade-Chamberlain a little rest now. I think maybe he has been an absolute, he's done nothing wrong, but maybe this is one of those where it's just time for other players who are just going to do more right than not wrong to really just go for it, especially away and big tie like that. But then there's no, there's no right answer or no wrong answer. So.
Well, this is where we are. He does Genie on 60, and when he did Genie on 60, everyone went, well, that means Genie's playing against Atletico. But I sort of struggle a bit with that today. I don't think that's necessarily as nailed on as it feels, but you would think that normally that's what he does. But I don't see Henderson not starting. I'd be amazed if Henderson doesn't start at Atletico. So then it becomes, well, is he going to go with the midfield that started that game, where he goes Henderson, Wijnaldum and Keita, or is it that it's going to be Fabinho to come back in? I mean, it is now. This is what managers have to do. It's an embarrassment of riches. He's got himself in this position. He's got them fit. I don't think it's easy for him, though. As I say, there'll be two sat on the bench feeling a bit hard done to.
I think it's Keita or Ox on the bench myself. I think he goes back to Fabinho, Henderson and Wijnaldum. I think I just think he'll want to go there, not get beat, basically. If he go there, nick a goal, keep it tight. We know Atletico aren't the most extravagant of teams. They love a draw. They don't score too many, but they don't concede many either. So it's going to be a tight game. I think they'll look to strangle the life out of the game, which is where we need to sort of have more ball control. Naby's always there on the bench, I think, to come and unpick a lock for the last 20 or 30 minutes, similar to Oxlade-Chamberlain. But I think Naby's really starting to show his worth now, but I just don't see him starting against Atletico for me.
Didn't Atletico give away a lead twice this weekend?
Yeah, against Valencia, That finishes 2-2.
I think they'll have that in mind.
Yeah, I think on yesterday with the Fabinho, I think Fabinho will start Atletico away, but I wondered yesterday if, I know Klopp's come out and said he's coming back from injuries and doesn't need to play these kinds of intense games back to back, but I wonder if it's just more of a compliment to Henderson as well, that since Henderson had to drop back into that position after when Fabinho got injured, that he sort of offered something different than he ever has before. I know Henderson's played that position for years now, and I think it was Burnley away in 16-17. Henderson first plays that position as the 6, and it was the game we lose with about 80% possession, and Henderson got slaughtered after and things. I remember Klopp saying, well, this is where he's playing now and he'll get used to it, and that's the position now, and ever since then he made that position his own, and he got stick for it, but he was always doing what the manager told him. He was playing reverse balls, like blindside, and he was doing everything he was told, and I thought he was great there. We got to a European Cup final with him as the 6, and obviously go up another level then with Fabinho coming in the following season. But I wonder if it was just when Fabinho got injured, Henderson's relaxed now, knowing that's not his position, and he dropped into it and was like, I'm going to give more of what I give going forward here now, because I know I can do both, and he had more confidence to do that. And I wondered yesterday if the manager thought, well, it's only Norwich away, I can trust Jordan in that position. We don't essentially need Fabinho playing that position. But I think for Atletico, I think given like the rest he had yesterday, I think Fabinho definitely starts, and I'd go with that. He's not going to drop the captain, and he's right not to. But you mentioned 2 being unhappy on the bench. There could be more, because Milner's got an argument and a case to make that. Listen, I know he's had an injury, so do you want to drop him in that? But Milner had argued, I haven't had minutes in my legs, never had football, so I'm as fresh as anyone to come in. And if James Milner started, I wouldn't be against it. He's someone that you trust. Keita brings a lot to the team, but I know it's unpopular with some people. I'm still not exactly sure on him, and especially in a game like that, in terms of do you trust him to stay injury free throughout an intense game like that. The Barcelona away, he starts brilliantly last year, and then he goes off, and I know it's unlucky and it's harsh on the lad, but then you've used the sub straight away there in a really big game, an important game. Chamberlain's a tricky one, because there was Tottenham away. I think Tottenham away comes soon after the Everton FA Cup one. I think I mentioned on the show I'd have gone with Lallana playing Tottenham away, and he goes Chamberlain, and I think you see the benefits of that, because like we've said a few times, there's always a goal in him. and we need to score there.
This is the Chamberlain thing is it's worth remembering the way he used him in Europe in the 17-18 run, the idea of him playing centre midfield, Steve, but being able to break the lines and being able to strike from distance and being able to throw that little bit of doubt in opposition minds. It's all a little different, and they are, you think about those options there. To be fair to the manager, and to be fair to Paddy, Milner offers something different from Keita offers something different from Oxlade-Chamberlain offers something different from Lallana offers something a little different from Wijnaldum. It sort of goes on. I'd be really surprised if Fabinho and Henderson don't start. It is that other one. I think you're right when you say it will be Wijnaldum, but he has almost been able to, he can choose his weapon, as we point here a little bit, in a way that I think is fascinating, and given the way Atletico play, there may be a surprise.
Yeah, maybe, but I'd be more surprised if it wasn't, to be fair. If it's not Henderson, Wijnaldum and Fabinho, I'd be very surprised. If the game was at home, it could be a different conversation. But I think the fact it's away, I think it's the first leg, I think he'll want to go there. I don't think he'll want to go and try anything too outrageous. I think he'll want to just keep it tight, as I said. And I say anyone off the bench, any three of them off the bench, he's got the uses. When Milner is probably the best sub in the league at the moment. If you know anything showing up and you want to just keep hold of the ball a bit more and make things a bit tight, then Milner comes on. If you need to unpick a lock, then you've got Oxlade-Chamberlain, or you've got Keita, who's a little bit different to him as well. So I think he'll go with the tried and tested, and I think he'll have the options off the bench.
Just to bring it back to your original point, Neil, I don't think anyone's in the mind frame of feeling hard done by at the moment either. I think everyone
allows it, does he?
No, I don't think it's how it's going at the moment. I think that, like we're describing here, they can pick a lock, they can do this, they can show things up if it's getting a bit chaotic. They all understand that that's what they're there for, and
they all know they've got a role to play between now and the end of May.
It's not the end of the world. No one, I don't think any of them are thinking I'm being hard done by here.
All right. Obviously, the front three is the front three, and the back four is the back four. We'd all be really surprised if anything's different across the board there. And there's 6 days until the West Ham game. Just quickly on that, before we have a tiny little chat about the Manchester City thing, predictions for the game. I'm expecting a lot of Roberto Firmino in the fact that he now only scores big goals in big games, especially away from home. But he might disappoint for once. Paddy.
So I haven't even thought about it much, to be honest. And I'm going tomorrow's, but I don't know.
You might want to start thinking about it,
No,
be packed.
1-0 Liverpool. I'll go.
1-0 Liverpool, I'd love that.
Yeah, I'll spite you on the full day for that. I think, I fancy to go there and get a result. I do. I think it'd be 1-0, 2-1. I think it'd be a good game.
Siobhan?
Well, I was going to say 1-0 and then 2-1 once Paddy had said 1-0, so I'm just going to...
You're not going to say 3-2, are you?
No.
Doesn't feel like 3-2 to me,
no,
this.
I can't be doing with 3-2. I've got 2 days to go at that point. 1-0 or 2-1. I'm going to completely just...
Go with that.
Bottle it, yeah.
1-0 or 2-1. The other thing that's sort of broken, we're going to be doing a few little bits on it across the next few days, including the weekend of show, which will be out on Friday, is the Manchester City FFP thing. And obviously, there's one sense in which it is hysterically funny, and that's allowed. Let's also remember that we get to laugh at football. We haven't got to be remarkably po-faced about everything. But the flip side is, Paddy, there's talk of retrospective titles and all of this sort of stuff. I don't think anyone around this table would want that, even from a Liverpool point of view, and maybe it's because of where we are now. But I don't think it is. I think that one of the things that should be said now about this Liverpool team with this news is that this is a Manchester City side who've got one of the greatest managers of all time, who've built this side in a way which, there are legitimate question marks about, without getting too stuck into it all. And Liverpool have destroyed them over the course of last season and into this season. Liverpool have eroded them down to a little broken nub, and we deserve an unbelievable amount of credit for that as a football team and a football club.
Yeah, you can make a case, especially with this news coming out, that Liverpool essentially have kept up with a side that's been cheating for the best part of, we're getting on 2 years now. If it's back in the 17-18, we're the first team to beat them in that January, and then we knocked them out of Europe, and then last season we keep pace with them, and then finished a mere 1 point behind them, and then this season we've blown them away, and it's the biggest credit to this Liverpool side, and also the club. And I'm critical of the club at times, I've been critical of the owners, but Klopp's comments yesterday were interesting when he essentially looked at it, the human side of... Yeah. There's a manager here who's really good and puts a lot of time and effort and work into these players, and there's players who train every day and went on an incredible run last year to win a league title and are doing it absolutely, giving it all, and it's not their fault that they've been told one thing from the top, and that's not essentially what's panned out. And I think, say what you want about our club and how the owners and they could always do things better, and and you can talk about that. It's a completely other show, but you get the sense that, I mean, it's spoken a lot about at the minute that, you know, we're all united as one club and from top to bottom, and Klopp plays a very big role in everything that goes on and is aware of everything. You could just, I mean, you have got to be careful because, like you said, Siobhan, that this could be going on at other clubs, but you would be very surprised if this was the case at Liverpool, because you get the sense that we're not cutting corners, we're doing everything right, and we're being rewarded for that on the pitch with an incredible group of players and an incredible manager.
It's the manager's comments I think are really interesting. I feel for Pep and the players. They did for sure nothing wrong. They just played football, and sensational football wherever Pep's been. He's helped each league to improve. There's something still in this where genuinely, you know, stuff like, and I still don't think City got the credit for the run they put in at the end of last season. I say this all the time. I'm probably boring for people, and certainly people who are determined to hate them. I'm most definitely not determined to hate Manchester City. But Raheem Sterling and Bernardo Silva drag them to many of those victories at the end of last season. The legs have gone. They put in what they put in the season before, and those players at that point, the FFP stuff doesn't matter.
No.
It's footballers on the pitch, and also for those lads who are paying through the gate, those lads and girls who support Manchester City who are paying through the gate. We can do all the stuff about City supporters on Twitter or certain journalists who write for certain papers around the Manchester City point, but the fact of the matter is there's paying customers going through, cheering the team on, emotionally feeling like they've won the league, and that shouldn't be taken from them as far as I'm concerned, ever.
No, I can't disagree. I really liked Jürgen's comments on that, looking at the human side of things. Obviously, as fans, there will always be like the one-upmanship and the banter and all that kind of nonsense, which drives you mental. But as a football team, I watched them a lot last year because I was just waiting for them, hoping, praying they were going to slip up. And it honestly, you know, the amount of times they broke my heart was unbelievable. And you just got to doff your cap and say, a phenomenal football team. You know, what they achieved the season before, being the first team to get 100 points again, probably up until this season, the best football side I've seen play in the Premier League. But you know, at the end of the day, the rules are the rules, and however they've got there, if there's rules being breached and broken, then it's a very strong stance to take from you. Like, for it be interesting to see if they follow through and hold the nerve and it sticks. So as I said, I want to hear more concrete facts from people. There just needs to be a lot of hot air and noise from people who think they know what they're talking about at the moment. So as I said, I'll be interested to see how it pans out.
It's one where, Siobhan, any punishment that happens now, the UEFA one set up, they're still under investigation from the FA and from FIFA. But any punishment, I think, it's got to be going forward. For me, the retrospective stuff is pointless because you can't change the way football matches felt. And I think that's the thing that I don't like, and I, you know, when I see it going on, trying to pour scorn, as I say, on you know, you paid through the gate, you support Manchester City, you watch them win this game, that game. You shouldn't have someone who now tries to act like that never happened. It did happen. They won those games of football, so any punishment's got to be going forward, not going backwards.
Definitely, and you can't be being incredulous about, but they did it, they were cheating. It's totally different from, as a fan, the big wigs in the office cheating compared to the players on the pitch cheating. They did what they did in absolute best faith, the lads on the pitch. So you can't take that away from them. It would be hollow for any other teams to benefit from it. It would be, and you know, they were saying about what season was it, where there was potentially a hashtag tainted title that'd have to be given to someone else. Like, the complications that would go into that and the empty victory that would be. All Liverpool fans will say right now, like, this was the right time for Liverpool to win their first league in so many years. This was it. For it to be this, like, this puny, like, let's go back and take it off them and give it to them. It's pathetic. And just talk of this, the Aguero one being one that gets taken away. Behave.
Well, and on that though, there's that one, but also, Paddy, you think about, for instance, a season like 17-18, United come second, but what happens is that sides like Liverpool and Tottenham decide to put the resources somewhere else, because the City go on and get 100 points. United under Mourinho are just trying to slog it out. They're not getting anywhere in Europe, really. They might not even be in the Champions League that season.
Terrible runners-up.
Yeah, the terrible runners-up. But they get 80-odd points, and they put them on the board, but it's almost like Liverpool decide to try and win the European Cup in Kiev. Yeah. The point is, you can't change that Liverpool make that sporting decision in February. You can't now go, well, then United were the second best team in the country, because they, broadly speaking, weren't. They probably weren't even the fourth best, if we're honest about it, but they go and get the results because everyone else has got different targets.
Yeah, and that's absolutely true, but it's also like, I don't, if you asked anyone, being absolutely honest, I don't know who wants these titles. I mean, throughout my life supporting Liverpool, all I've ever wanted was to see Liverpool win the league, and it was always drilled into me as a kid, number 19. We get like 21 this year now, because we get 2 from, like, I'll have no connection to that on any level. I'll just be a bit like, well, when I was 16 and I was broken hearted in 2013, 2014, 16-year-old Paddy Fitz isn't benefiting from that at all. He's still absolutely gutted. Like last year's me is still absolutely gutted. And also, like, if you want to be romantic about football and things, winning the title this year will be so sweet because it's all part of one big story. I mean, you can stretch it from when Klopp comes in, or you can mark it from wherever you want. You can mark it from
1990 if you want.
Yeah, and even I've said before that I think the best thing about winning the league this season is what I love so much about it is we're running away with it. But games like yesterday are great because we're running away with it, but it's still feeling like a cup final. And I remember fearing, like, not fearing because all I've ever wanted is to see Liverpool win the league, but wondering if we do run away with it, will it still mean as much to me? And I remember thinking, like, well, if we run away with it, we won't get a Southampton away, which was after Ladies' Day last year when me and all my mates went into town and we seen us, and it felt like the biggest thing in the world. And will you get a Tottenham at home or a Chelsea at home where Salah bangs one and you're like, oh, you bounce out the ground thinking, oh my God, we're going to win the league. Will you get that if, like, we're 20 odd points clear, but we're still managing to get that, and it's all part of one big story because Southampton away last year means so much this year because it's felt like a 2-season long thing. So I don't know who wants this thing if you ask them honestly, and I can't see it happening because we've mentioned before about the complications of, well, City took points off sides that season who went down and they've lost money and not come back up since, and how do you ever repay it? You can give Liverpool a title for 2013-14, but Cardiff, who went down last year and have only come up once since, what are they getting for it and things? So it's not going to happen. Any action taken is going to be on forward, but it will be interesting to see what the Premier League do, or anyone in this country, because you have got to act on something, whatever that may be.
There's got to be something that the Premier League look at. As I said, I can't see them bringing back Brendan and Raheem Sterling to lift all them come back. My dad said if they did something like that, the can of worms would be open, but just go on forever. The complications would just last. It'd just be nonsense. So anything, as you say, that gets done has to be moving forward. So the Premier League will have to do something. I would think they'll be under pressure to look at doing something, because obviously, again, if rules have been broken, then punishment must be dished out.
All right then. Thank you very much to everyone who's coming on this Sunday to have a chat about the mighty boys in red who are on the march. I'm not quite at the point on these shows where I'm going to ask everyone to tell me when they think we're going to win it. That's going to start in the next couple of weeks. We're going to start, when do you think we're going to win it? Watch. Go on, you look poised.
No, I've had a touch, to be honest, with this coronavirus, because we were meant to go to Thailand on the 12th of March. I was away for Everton and I was away for Palace, but we changed the dates now because obviously everyone's just getting ill, so we're now going away in October. So all I'm doing is going away to the Scottish Highlands now for the week on the international break. It's just worked out perfectly.
So you're just free and easy now, no pressure whatsoever.
Whenever you want to win it, lads, you crack on.
Excellent stuff.
Housebound for months now, so bring it up. Give me something to smile about. I've written 2 schedules for people in work who've been trying to figure out when they can go away with their fellas. So then they said, what's our safety weekends? And I'm like, we can't do then. Which weekends is it not likely to be? Is he not likely to be fuming at me if we go
international break? You've just got to say international break ends of March.
Last week in March.
There was a reason why it had to be after April and before June. Don't even get me started on it. I know. You can't.
This is no way to live,
isn't it? It's annual leave.
This is no way to live. I'm not going to ask you. So, but this is a warning for people who are coming on future shows. You're going to start to get asked, when do you think it's going to happen? The most important thing is it just happens literally whilst Liverpool play, because I want to watch what those footballers do. I want to see what Virgil van Dijk does. I want to see what Jordan Henderson does. I want to see what Sadio Mane does.